What you're about to hear is a conversation that we had with Dr. Christine Louis de Sully not too long ago about the racial unrest and anti-immigration protests in Britain, but also just kind of about race and immigration itself. This gets into questions of identity, questions of capitalism, questions of growth and change, and also of maybe whether those things happen too fast or if there's anything humans can actually do about it, or if the ways of doing things about that are getting co-opted by movements that do not have our best interests in mind, right? And so, as with all things, none of the stuff that I do with other guests on this channel ever really reflects my own position, or at least rarely. And that's also the case here. I really just wanted to use this as an opportunity to allow Christine to kind of lay out her position, because I had some kind of an idea of what she was going to say, but I also don't know it that well. You know, you can't predict everything that a person is going to say. You want to let other people speak for themselves. And when it comes to the left, or the historic left, or the socialist left, or whatever, I think that the position that you'll find here is one that you could cite. It's one that you could engage with as representative of this kind of sort of historical, structural, historicist approach to the situation. One that ultimately says, look, people are people, and we need to stop telling ourselves that it's any other way, right? I hope to do a follow-up on this topic within the next couple of weeks or a month to really get into this a little bit more, because I think it's an important topic. It's not going to go away anytime soon, especially not in our lifetimes. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it over here and begin. But if you're interested in Theory Underground and what's going on with our courses, or ways to get involved with the ongoing research, or just like what it ultimately is and what we do, what we're all about, well, stick around until the end and listen to the PSA that I made for you. All right? Take care. Enjoy. But we're live, and welcome back, everybody, to the Epic Marathon live stream that is happening on Wednesday, August 14th. We are now joined live, for real this time, by Dr. Christine Louis de Sully. It's been a while. So great to have you back on our platform. How are you doing today, Christine?
I'm fine. Thank you very much for inviting me today. Things have been okay. Busy.
Awesome. Busy.
I have two new puppies, I wanted to say online.
Congratulations on the puppies. We just got
Yeah,
we just got ourselves a new kitten, a brother for our cat Ryan, and his name is Thomas Aquinas. What are the names of your puppies?
I have to say that I have two new puppies because my boy Storm is dead.
Oh,
So he
well,
died a month ago. So it's a bad news, but at the same time, it's a bit like life and death. You know, you lose your companion, and then you have two new companions who's kind of reminds you of life carries on. And the two new puppies, one is 13 weeks, is called Tembi, hope in African language, and the other one is called Eagle, warrior of peace. I thought that the name should have more meanings this time, especially politically. So, hope and warrior of peace, Tembi and Eagle.
That's precious. We almost named our kitten Kasula, which I believe. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, I don't know which African language it actually is. I don't know, but my neighbors are all like little refugee kids, and I mean their parents are also around. But like usually it's like I go outside and there's a bunch of little black kids like running around, usually right in our front yard, and they're always they're like, "Can we see your kitty? Can we see your kitty?" And so like I'll get the kitty, and then like they're scared of him, so like they'll walk up and they'll like barely touch him, and then they'll run away screaming. But then they'll be like talking in their native language, and I'll hear them say the word Kasula a lot, and so I was like, I like to, whenever I pick up on a word that they're saying, kind of say it like with a big, like just say it back. So I go kasula, and then they laugh hysterically, and
Mhm.
and I was like, what is kasula? What is kasula? And then they're like, it means very bad. I was like, okay,
Habib. Okay.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
they start
you
they
don't want to
started
co
they started calling me kasula recently. I'll come outside, they'll be like kasula. Yeah,
yeah, you don't want to call your kitten Casula. I mean, it's like a bad start already.
yeah. We don't want to do that. So naming him after, I guess, a Catholic philosopher is kind of random, but he does seem like a Thomas more than a Soren, or we were thinking about Raskolnikov, right? The protagonist of Crime and Punishment. But I want to segue this into what we'll be talking about. So, refugee children in the neighborhood. What does it mean to live among the supposed other? How different really are we? How should we think about difference? How we think about difference translate into policy? How should we think about anti-mass immigration protest movements, race riots in Britain, and the left PMC's response to those riots, which in a lot of cases is talking about, oh, white workers are racist, white workers are racist, white workers are racist. They just don't get it. They just need to get with the times. If anybody is alarmed by my framing of this, welcome to the show. I'm typically going to be a little like crass in my framing, and I am going to kind of frame it the way that I see the two sides framing it. And with that, I want to kind of like open the floor to you, Christine. I think you've probably been paying more attention to all of this. You're a lot more cosmopolitan than I am. You've lived in France and Germany and the United States, not just for a year here or there, but for sizable chunks of your life when you were
Mhm.
studying for your dissertations, when you were getting all your credentials. When you've got family all over, and so you've always had a kind of unique approach to thinking about both belonging in the world and also race and racism, which is something that from our previous conversations, for those who don't know, Christine avoided talking about for a long time. She was just a nuts and bolts communist, bread and butter, let's focus on the basics. And at some point, she felt the need to speak up and say all of this race discourse is itself, according to you, if I'm not misunderstanding, racism itself. Like, this is racism, and it's perpetuating it. And so, is that correct? And is there anything you would like to add to that? And then we can start talking about what's going on.
In a way, yes. I suppose the fact that I lived in a different country, I think it's four now. Yeah. Well, France, England, America, and Germany now. But if you notice, they're all Western country. So
Hmm.
I'm not that cosmopolitan because I think there is a very similarity in all these different nations, and I would love to live in other nations or a bit more different. But it's not only my personal experience that makes, I suppose, makes me to see the world in a more universal way than just my nation and my people, and that people are kind of using. I'm French, so I should be worried about my nation, the French France, and my people and the French people. Or in the sense is the same way as people will say I'm black, so it means I should be worried about my black people. I think it's it's a problem of identity, and you could have I think we start the conversation, yes. So I think for me, my problems of the whole discussion is that it's all about identity. So we're supposed to worry about some identity and not others. So as a black person, I should be worried about the black side of me, or as a French person, I should be worried about the French side of it. And when you look at the refugees and immigrants, what you highlight is the immigrant part of it. I mean, the riots, let's go back to the riot in Britain. The riot started when you had three little girls who died, and I think five. I think the other they survived, but five others were hurt, badly hurt by a person. And there was some usual kind of lies through the media, saying that the person who attacked the girls, without even any information, they're saying that he was a Muslim person. And the reaction to that is that if it was a Muslim person, then some people decided to go and attack mosque. So you would think, one question we think is, why is it that even if it was a Muslim person, why would you attack a mosque? He has nothing to do with the mosque. Is not the personal attack. It's an individual. So automatically you can see how some groups of people, they rationalize people. When an individual acts, everybody else is responsible for the actions of an individual. This is what makes a group of people being rationalized. And then when they found out that he was actually basically a black kid who was born in Cardiff, so he's British, but from his parents were from Rwanda, Christian Rwanda. And now the discussion is not about how he was British and whether he ill mentally. No, it's about how he's an immigrant, a son of an immigrants from Rwanda. So again, this part of his identity is the one that we're supposed to be worried about. Not the fact that he's British, not the fact that he was born in Cardiff, not the fact that he was maybe mentally ill. No. The focus is on the fact that he is on the son of immigrants from Rwanda. Now you ask the question, why? And even if it was is an immigrant, why would you go and attack Muslims and immigrants? What's the relationship between that and the fact that he attacked a few girls? And I think a lot of people don't even kind of step back and thinking, why is it that the actions of an individual is suddenly being blamed on all groups of people, either the Muslims or the immigrants, because immigrants were attacked. I mean, they burned down the hostel for where the asylum seekers were staying. Asian and black people were attacked in the street. A Muslim woman being attacked in the street when she was having a kid. So for me, you cannot go away from the issue of race, because the Muslims and the black and the browns are being seen as a race, and they're being seen as responsible for the act of an individual. And then you have to ask a question, why is it that the immigrants are being blamed for an action of an individual, but also for the social problem of a nation like the UK? Why is it that the particular identity of individuals seems to be more important in defining them than the other identity? Why is it that, for example, the guy is not being seen as a British who was born in Britain, grew up in Britain, and suddenly acted and killed the kids? That is not discussed.
Right.
No, it's the son of an immigrant.
Well, I think that might be discussed by the left response in, for instance, that video that I shared with you that Konstantin Kristin, if I'm saying that name correctly, probably not, hosted, which is a video that I'll share in the comment section later after today's live stream in the future. But I won't share that link until somebody asks me to, because I will forget. So somebody go ahead and remind me in the future when you're listening to this to share the link of that interview that I listened to. Christine, did you get a chance to listen to it by any chance?
Yes, horrible.
You think it was horrible? Okay. And
absolutely.
What did you think that all positions represented were horrible? And how would you characterize the horribleness of that conversation?
I can see that the people who try to defend who try to basically try to understand the situation were overwhelmed by the very conservative attitude that you found at the moment. For me, I call it conservative, not only conservative, but also very right-wing attitude that you found at the moment going into British politics. The discussions is whether or not the immigrants are useful or not. For who? For Britain. The discussions goes into well, yes, there is a social cohesion in Britain, as if there was social cohesion in Britain before the immigrant comes. Then there is discussions about mass immigration. Which mass immigrations are we talking about? 1 million of people in the UK. We have how many people in the UK? 69 millions of people. So 1 million of immigrants, it's nothing. Then you have discussions about the NHS having immigrants and people don't or the jobs, and there was no discussions about how you have social problems in the UK before and after immigrations or during immigrations. But now we go back to the same conversation that we have for the last few hundred years since modernity, where when you have a social problems in a country, in a nation, who do you target? Who do you use as a responsible for it? The sections of the population, and usually the most vulnerable section of the population. So you have problems of jobs, problems of infrastructure, problems of health services, and people are angry for not having good jobs, not having medical services. I mean, this is right to be angry. And then you turn around and say, well, immigrants come in this country and they are taking our jobs. I mean, really? When you look at history, for me, it's, for example, when I was looking at doing some research about immigration, because the discussion about immigration started with modernity and with the immigration laws to limit immigration. There was one example in America where a Catholic, anti-Catholic people were against Catholic coming into America, because apparently the Catholics in a country where Protestants were the majority, Catholics were going to destroy America. The US, I'm talking about America as the US, yes? So there was a huge discussions about how the Catholics will be coming and destroy USA. Today, we're having and in the Second World War, we have the Jews are being destroying the country. They are the enemy within. They're going to destroy and our British values or French values or German values. Now we have the Muslims who are fanatics and terrorists and destroying our values. And there was never a discussion about what those values are doing and how do they destroy this supposedly social cohesion. It's like, oh no, is there social? I'm angry because the opposition to all this, for me, crap about social cohesions and destroying values is never strong enough. They're using the same conversation that are immigrants useful or not. It's not about usefulness of immigrants. It's about whether or not really the problems in the UK or in France or in Germany, in the US, is due to the number of people coming in the country. And it is not. History shows us that. You had crisis, social crisis in the US, France, Britain, with less people. It's always been, we always had the social crisis in less people. And still, every year we are having a conversation about how the immigrants are destroyed. What is the values that we are supposed to be being destroyed? What is this British value that they're supposed to be fighting? People say democracy. I don't hear.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, no, I would say it's like I know that this is like the thing that the other side is constantly saying, but I think, it's really easy to answer it from my perspective, because I grew up in a conservative family that's Christian, but like they believe that Western values have certain ideas like tolerance and grace and freedom of speech, and also things like individual rights, like women are supposed to have individual rights. And if you're bringing a lot of people who do not, who have not acclimated to those basic values, and those are values, freedom, the value of freedom of expression. For instance, my ability to say, fuck Allah, I don't believe, or here's a picture of Muhammad. Like, for me to be able to do that, to have the freedom of expression to do that, that is a Western value in their book. They think of that as Western. I don't think of that as Western. I think of that as a human value. I think that it, historically, popularly comes about from the West, but the West doesn't have any right to it. Like, it's not its own. But it is true, though, that if you come from a place where that's just not even on the radar, and you're bringing people in really fast, like that could create
But
problems.
This is not
No,
true. But
no.
this is not true.
Okay.
Democracy is an
Why?
example. People are saying, well, we're living in liberal democracy. And one of the things in the talk, people were saying, well, the politicians told us that they're going to stop immigration, and they didn't. Since when do we have democracy in the UK?
Mm.
Since when do people, democracy is the rules by the people, i.e., the people rule the country. There is no democracy in the UK, and it is there's always been that the politicians are being go into the government and do what they want. Look at the war, the issue of Israel and Palestine. People demonstrate, or Iraq. Millions of people demonstrated. The issue is not about democracy. There is no democracy in the UK. So you call it about there is democracy in the UK, and then these people coming in this country destroying democracy. There is no democracy. Free speech. I can assure you, there is no free speech. For example, involved in the issue of Israel and Palestine, has been banned, shadow banned, censored, attacked, insulted, and not only that, but death threats, because I support the Palestinians against Israel. The free speech doesn't exist, and we know that. So all this value that people are talking about, as if somehow the Western has, for me, the world today, we see all this crap about, we have Western values. Which values that we are following? You can say empty words: democracy, free speech, tolerance. You go and attack immigrants means being tolerant. You're saying that people with different color are going to destroy your culture. It's being called tolerant. So you can have anti-words, but there is no British value or Western values that's being used at the moment. Anti-words at the moment. And for me, it's like we can just empty.
Did you say anti-words? Is that what you said? Oh, empty. You said empty words.
Empty words, sorry. My accent is becoming strong. Empty words. Basically, empty rhetoric. We are fighting for British value. And people would say, well, yes, which British value? Democracy, tolerance, free speech. All this, we live together. And then you're thinking that is not the values at the moment. We go and bomb other country. That is not the value of peace. All these things, rights and civil liberties. I'm sorry to say the right to protest has been attacked. How are you going to talk about rights when you have in the UK or in France or in Germany or in America laws who attack people the right to protest, the right to speech, all these laws that prevent people to talk, to say things. So
I wanna so just to clarify, my position is not the one I just said. My position, I was saying what I think, my mom would say. Now, my position is hopefully a lot more interesting or whatever. Hopefully it also gets at something better. But I want to leave my position aside. I really want to understand your position. But I also want to give Nance a quick little moment here, because I've seen him nodding along with a lot of what you're saying, and I kind of want to hear what he likes about what you're saying and what he might want to ask you. And then I want to show you a video. I want you guys to react to the video. It was making the rounds. It's a short one. And then and I kind of want to get into how this is being handled. My position can come in later, maybe at the end of this, maybe in a future conversation. I'm not too invested in my position mattering right now. I kind of want to really kind of just like get your guys' positions on the table, because I hope that it's going to be helpful for people who've had their brains framed by the current discourse, to realize that there's other possibilities for thinking about all of this, right? And so with that, Nance, take it away. I'm going to go grab some more coffee. I'm listening from downstairs.
So I think they're using empty rhetoric, and they're kind of justifying like a resentment, or like, I don't know. It always turns into this like justification for just expressing like a violence, or maybe even like a hopelessness. And it's like all these quote unquote political justifications seem like they just get tacked on post hoc. People are like denying material conditions, and they kind of come up with convenient narratives as far as like, oh well, they're so different, they're a threat to our way of life, when in reality like, have you looked at your way of life? Like, are you aware of the conditions outside your door right now? Like, I saw one video of a guy talking about immigrants taking his job, and then the interviewer asked him, well, have you been looking for a job? And he's like, no, I'm a convict. Like, I can't get a job anyway. But rather than like actually thinking about the problem, he blamed it on immigration. And it seems that like that's what you're kind of pointing at. Like all this stuff kind of comes along after the fact. As like, yeah.
I mean, poverty, unemployment, homelessness. We have, in the Western, talking about only at the moment the Western nation. In the Western nation, we have all those social problems. People are fed up. I mean, high standard of living. I mean, for me, when I go shopping now, it's double the amount of money that I pay for just food.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we are all angry. And you may, I'm better off than other people, but we are. I mean, our life is getting really bad. But the anger and the resentment of what's happening, and the fact that also our government, I mean, who represents me? I'm sorry to say, as a French person, my government doesn't represent me. I have no say in what's happening in my country. My government does whatever he wants, and I have no say. And putting a cross on a paper every few years doesn't give me a say. So I can be angry and resent what's happening. But the issue is that every single time people are using scapegoat, and for me what I call is a blame game. Politics is a blame game things. So if it's not Muslims today, because for me I think Muslims are the ones that are really are targeted today in the West. The anti-Muslims is very strong. In fact, they are the worst community as seen, and we saw that with the South part, the killing of the kids and the reaction to attack the mosque. This was the Muslims. So the Muslims, but they will also use the Roma, or they will use the working class who are not working hard enough, or they will use the trans people who are taking the things away from the woman. And every single time we have politics as blame game. Basically, which section of society is going to be used as a scapegoat for the social problem that we have. And so when you do that, there is no discussion. So why is it that people cannot have jobs? Why is it that the infrastructures are so bad? Why is it that people have to wait months to be able to see a doctor? That is not discussed. We go and blame the immigrants. And the discussions on the immigrants is always one of the things in England they always are complaining is that we cannot talk about immigration because we are being called racist. This is the opposite. The discussions on immigration is one of the most common discussions in all Western countries. It's always on the news. The boat people, the war in America, the Mediterranean, immigration is always talk. So when people say we don't talk about immigration, this is a lie, a complete lie. Because what they are saying is that we cannot talk about immigration because we like to discuss immigration on the level of identity. We are British, and the people like us can come here, but the people not like us should not be coming here because they're going to destroy our whole British nation or British identity. So what they are saying is that it's not that we don't talk about immigration, is that they would like to talk about immigration on the level of identity, on the level of, there's only people like us that should become in, who doesn't destroy our British. And then you also have the part which is racist, because what I mean by British people like us is not Western, but the people with the Western culture, i.e. the white people, the people who have a certain color of skin. Because nobody discussed the immigration and not people like us when the Ukrainian were received in the UK. There was no discussion about how we don't want Ukrainians to come in the UK. There was discussion about how we can help the Ukrainians. And then when you have the people in Syria and other countries who have a war and they would like to come here, or Palestinians, no, because we don't want people like that because they're going to destroy the British culture. So there is a lot of things in there, but the discussion on immigration is always there. The problems with in the UK is when they're talking about multiculturalism. The problem is that there is two definitions of multiculturalism. So you have multiculturalism, which is the policies that the Labour governments and all of this did. And that is bad. because the police was arguing that different culture or different identity has to be conserved, has to be saved. So they organized for a different community to be basically separated and live parallel life. That is bad, because there is a notion that somehow somebody who is from Muslim, I don't know, Syrian Muslim, cannot live with a British Christian because they are from different culture. This is really bad. And this is the policies that came from the government. So that, I definitely challenge that. Multiculturalism policies that the government are introduced creates communities live parallel life, and you create a horrible place to live. But the multiculturalism that right-wing people are challenging is the idea of diversity. This idea that somehow me as a French person, Afro-Caribbean background, and my husband as a German white person, if we live in the same country, we're not going to be living together very well because we are different. What is the difference? It's highlighted. It's the fact that I have the wrong skin color or the wrong culture. And that's what's the problem, is that you have the policies that you can challenge, the policies that the government challenge, we need to challenge, because this is really bad policies. And in fact, the policies is based on the same notion than the people who are challenging diversity, because they are saying that people from different parts of the world cannot live together, and that is not true. We know that it's not true. I mean, immigration, people have been moving around the world for a long time. So you have multiculturalism as the policies, and then multiculturalism as diversity, as a fact of life, because Britain, France, America, Germany, all those nations have been made and it's been created by lots of different people coming together.
And it seems like that second kind of multiculturalism, the kind that you're defending, is actually inherently at odds with that first kind, right? That kind. So, and let me just make sure that I got it right. So the first kind of multiculturalism is we got to keep them separated, right? Like that song. We got to keep them separated, right? It's the policies that say, we must preserve Rwandanness and Native Americanness and Irishness and every kind of Britishness, yes. And so this preservationist, conservationist approach, it's, here in Boise, it's why there's like this big, like pomp and ceremony at the university about, let's do a land acknowledgement and bring on some natives, and they'll play the drums and they'll dress up in their garb. And it's very like, Native Americans are these people who live on a reservation, and look, they're still keeping it alive. Versus like, Native Americans are people that I work alongside in construction, actually. They're just regular people. You're just saying that the true Native American is the reservoir native. And it's like, well, I mean, that is a native, but also so is the one who is in town. And in fact, in a lot of cases, like this encouraging people to keep alive their traditions and stay rooted, you're basically saying stay in this slum, right? You're saying stay in this slum. That's your purity. That's your place. It's saying you have a proper place, and it's right here. And then, of course, sometimes sometimes it's like, oh no, actually, our proper place is over here. We got moved over here. There, either by violence or by a treaty that has been gone back on since. Which is all like, okay, that's interesting, but also the fundamental multiculturalism you're advancing is saying, no, like we can live together, actually, and treating the other as a historic museum exhibit is not good allyship, and that's not good civic engagement. That's actually, I don't know if you would say it's dehumanizing. I don't know if you would say it's polarizing. I don't know if how would you characterize that sort of, hello, beautiful listener. I see you. Just kidding. I can't. But I have to interrupt this just really quick to make my own advertisement, my very own, the one that says subscribing, liking, commenting. It actually makes a really big difference. So even if you're just on the free side, shout out to you. Thanks for doing it. Make sure to subscribe and all that. Especially people on the podcast, make sure to say something nice in the reviews. It actually really helps. And I need reviews on every platform, all right? Because I just hate to say it, it matters, I try not to chase the almighty algorithm, but also I don't want to have all of this beautiful content go to waste. And so I'm trying to walk a fine line between quality and quantity. And I come out way heavier on the side of quality, as you can obviously see we do here. But come on, let's push that subscribe button, let's smash that like button, teach the algorithm what you actually care about. All right. And then maybe it'll show it to other people. That's great. All right, let's get back to it. Actually, and treating the other as a historic museum exhibit is not good allyship, and that's not good civic engagement. That's actually, I don't know if you would say it's dehumanizing. I don't know if you would say it's polarizing. I don't know if how would you characterize that sort of liberal progressive, let's keep them contained and kind of, worship at this museum exhibit?
I don't. For me, the diversity of life is life. It's just life. The world, humanity has always moved around. This is life. The idea of keeping your cultural identity, because that's what it is. It's come from this liberal notion, but this is a really bad notion, because basically what you're saying is, for example, I'm Afro-Caribbean from my parents, yes. And people are saying we need to keep our culture. So what you're saying is that you need to keep the culture fixed completely in a way that in the past people has lived their life, and nothing to do with how people live their life today. We are supposedly imitating what our ancestors has done, and what we as people in the 21st century want doesn't matter. So the Indian has to keep their Indian culture, the French has to be the supposed French culture, and the British and the American culture, and we had to live in the bubbles and no relationship with each other. This is really bad. This is for me, it is completely anti-human ideas. So when you have the multicultural policies, is basically saying putting people into on these little boxes, and then saying to this box people, you have no say in what's happening to you or to your culture. You have to keep your box and live parallel to the other box, because they cannot mix it. It's basically come from the idea of, I don't know if you I can't remember his first name, Herder. The idea that the soul of the people come from the people themselves, the soul of the nation. So he was German, so he was arguing that the German soul has to be saved, and to be saved means that you have to keep the culture. And so it means that somebody who lives in Germany, who brought up in Germany but comes from, I don't know, Rwanda, cannot be German because it doesn't have the soul. Do you see how it's really anti-human? And a lot of things like that we do in our life is these anti-human things. For example, adoptions. I will adopt, I don't know, as a white American, and people will say, well, you have to teach that child a white American culture. What? Just because the child was born in white America, he has a special culture. Why not the culture that he grew up in and lived with? Somehow his skin color will give him his culture. And if somebody, a white person, adopt somebody from Rwanda, they have to teach the Rwanda culture, despite the fact that the child grew up in the West, in France or in Germany. Do you see what I mean?
This is also the position that's anti-mixing, right? It would be against your relationship with your boyfriend, right? Like because he's white, because he's German, they'd be go, oh, well, you're black, you're a woman, you shouldn't actually be with him because you're going to undermine the purity of your race, actually. And so and I think probably most people here probably have some kind of a revulsion towards that, but I am interested in seeing what everybody's comments during the live portion of this have been, and also what we'll see in the comment section moving forward. And then hopefully we'll be able to do a return to this very soon. But Will is in the back room right now. Helen will be there soon. We'll have to close this thing out in about 20 minutes. We still have some time. Don't worry. We still have some time. And so what I'm going to do is actually share the screen here and make it so that you can hear what I'm about to show. And I'm going to play this video for you all, because it is now, Nance, pay attention. If this is like echoing, it's because I clicked share sound and it would have already worked, which that'll be annoying and I'll have to reshare. Okay, but we'll see. Let's see how this works. This is something that, let's see. Isabel Millar shared this, and Mikey shared it to me, and I looked at it, and I honestly I am very sympathetic to this this woman's frustrations, but I also feel like there's something going on here at the level of the reaction, the progressive reaction, that is of concern. And so let's play it. Here we go. Oh wait, it's gonna sit here and it's not playing. Hold on, let's try again.
Let me tell you, dirty, dingy, dusty, racist prick something, yeah? You want to start racist riots around the UK, but you don't know your fucking history. Well, I'm here to give you a history lesson. The reason why immigrants came to this dusty, dingy fucking country is because half of your men were wiped out by World War fucking II. They didn't do it because they wanted equality. They didn't do it because they wanted diversity. They wanted black people to come over to this country and rebuild it again. And you want to know the real reason why you won World War II is because India, yeah? India sent around 1.2 million Indians to come and fight the fucking fight because they were part of the Commonwealth, you understand? So if you knew your fucking history, you wouldn't be going after immigrants so fucking hard. And America didn't save your ass, Scott. It was India, yeah? And you're talking about you want your jobs back. What fucking jobs are you talking about? Where are they? Are they on Indeed? Are they on Total Jobs? Where are they? Because there's 9 million jobs, yeah, that you can access, that you can fucking apply for. So where the fuck are these immigrants taking jobs? What, you want toilet cleaning? You want office cleaning jobs? You want carer jobs? You want car wash jobs? You want nail salon jobs? You want barbershop jobs. That's what you're angry about. The reason why you don't have those fucking jobs is because you don't have the skill set. You don't add to anything. You are labourers. That is what your history is known for. You are factory workers. You are miners. Most of you work in fucking construction because you can't string a sentence together. But you want to target fucking immigrants. How dare you? Let me tell you something else. The reason why you don't have jobs is because the UK don't export anything. They don't build fuck all. They don't do fuck all. And they don't invent fuck all. And you people ain't gonna work for £5 an hour in a factory. You're best staying on fucking benefits. So instead of being angry at the immigrants trying to make an honest fucking living, I suggest you look towards the Houses of Parliament because those are the people who put you in poverty. And you can throw all the racist parties you want. We ain't fucking going anywhere. So get fucking used to it. And if it weren't for the immigrants that came over here and made your country great again, you'd be living with animals, piss and shit. Do you understand? Oh. And the homeless and the toothless can't tell me shit about this country. This is my country now. Let me tell you.
And the homeless and the toothless can't tell me shit about this country. It's my country now. What do you all think about that?
Angry person.
Angry person.
Saying some truth and some. I think some of them, a lot of it is just bullshit. Yes, it is true that I think there's one of the. I mean, she did say racist, not. But there is a anti-working class sentiment behind that, which I don't like at all. I don't think. I think it's putting the white working class against other working class, and I don't like that at all. But she is right because in the sense of the history, people say, well, you cannot go the history of Britain. Well, yes, you do, because at the end of the day, a lot of the people who arrive in this country, for last century and this century, come from the country that Britain, had colonized, and so at the end of the day, history is important. But there is this anti-working class, like, where you're not educated or you're not doing any job, so it's your fault kind of thing. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, that was I guess even the first time I heard it, I was kind of just like swept up by the passion of it, and I don't think I really noticed this sort of
Anger.
underlying thing you're pointing out. I didn't notice it the first watch through. I mainly thought, wow, she's making sense up until the end when she's like, it's like she's progressive, but then all of a sudden she's like, and basically fuck you homeless people. And I was like, wait, what? That's not. I was like, what? Okay, she's coming from her own kind of approach, which is cool. But also on rewatching it, I was like, oh, she also throws people on benefits under the bus. And then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, so she basically believes that there's two kinds of workers: those who are doing cleaning, nail salons, and barbershops, versus those who are doing factories, mines, and construction. And she's saying the reason that the factory workers, miners, and construction workers uh, aren't able to do office cleaning, nails, and salons or barbershops is because they don't have the skills and can't string sentences together. But then she also says that they wouldn't want those jobs and they only pay £5. So there's a bit of a contradiction at work. And of course, maybe we're overanalyzing it. This is a little autistic of me just to be like, oh, what's she actually saying? When it's like, okay, she's reacting. She's reacting to racist riots. And so she's upset and she just wants to give a history lesson. The rest of it is actually probably inessential. But I do think that this way of racializing this jobs division is crazy, right? Like factory, is that true in Britain? That factory workers, miners, and construction workers are almost all white, and that office cleaning, nail salons, and barbershops are almost all white, almost all like not white. Is that a thing? I guess.
No, I don't know the percentage, but no, I mean factory workers has a lot of non-white persons, so I'm not sure if she's rationalizing it. Maybe she is, but in a way, she's just putting two groups of people, and then she thinks that one is better than the other. On what level, I don't know. Does a construction worker earn less or more money than somebody who is a hairdresser? I don't know. I don't think so. It depends of where you work. And no, you can find minorities in all those kind of jobs, actually.
Exactly.
In factory
Exactly.
jobs, in hairdressers. But in fact, all those jobs that she gave is low jobs, low working class, is the one who are not very well paid. If she can say the one who work in a office, the doctors and things, maybe you could say, well, yes, those people are have less minority than others. But I mean, working in a factory, working in hairdressers or cleaning jobs, cleaning has a lot of minorities, because of course it is true that a lot of the what you call native population do not want to do those kind of demeaning jobs. I mean, manual jobs. We are living in a society where manual jobs are always seen as demeaning, and they're demonized. I mean, despite the fact that manual jobs are the most important one.
She said, you're laborers. And I was like, oh my God, I spent most of my life as a laborer. And so it made me want to play this sound clip that I have on my soundboard here.
Get out, you laborer!
Could you guys make sense of that? Could you hear it? Get out,
Yeah.
get out, you laborer.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist society where a labor job, people working with their hands, is seen as less important than other jobs. You will see. I mean, when you go to LinkedIn, you see all these people achievements, like, I am becoming the officer or the director of these things, and people say, well done, you achieve in your life. Somebody will say, I'm decided, I've done, I don't know, 10 chamber, room in a hotel. People will not say, congratulations, you've done a well job, or I've done a nice construction road, in northern Germany. Nobody will see it as a well done. But you're becoming an officer and a CEO and a manager and science manager, and then you'll be like, well job. So we are in a society where the people are actually working in their hands and making the society survive, because at the end of the day, we saw with COVID that the people who are working with their hand were very important for the society to survive, are always seen as less important workers, and they are being paid as less important workers. You can spend your time working with numbers in the finance and doing nothing productive in society. I mean, absolutely nothing. And you can earn more money than somebody who's cleaning the street. And cleaning the street is essential, because if we don't want to die from disease, we have to have people cleaning the street. But they're seen as less important. That somebody's playing with numbers for hours.
Thank you.
So in a way,
Yeah.
yes, she's imitating that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's a really important line of thought, and I'm really happy you were able to address it here. We're in closeout mode here. Nance, did you have anything lingering from that or anything else?
I think there's so much. I have questions if we want to go back to the offline conversations. I have questions, but I think for me, with that TikTok or reel or whatever it was that we just watched, it kind of grosses me out when we talk about like the utility, like when we reduce these
Thank you.
immigrants are people, but
Yeah.
we always want to reduce them to utility. And I know, Christine, we had kind of referenced that, but I don't think we got to it in this conversation. So I do hope we can have another conversation where we kind of call out that way of always wanting to reduce immigration to a reserve army of labor and this and that. And it's a complex topic. And when people try to have these conversations, they wind up doing like reductionistic stuff that either becomes racist or becomes pragmatic and utilitarian. And it's never actually a real conversation.
Yeah, and I guess I want to say like one thing, and that is that the first kind of multiculturalism, the one of separatism that Christine was describing, is the multiculturalism of Alexander Dugin. It's also the multiculturalism of Black nationalists. It's also the multiculturalism of Zionists. And there is this big part of me that wants to say, I mean, my spirit as a first generation American born of immigrants, I do want to just go, yeah, I'm all for this second kind of multiculturalism. But at the same time, I think that one of the sort of stumbling blocks for emancipatory movements in the last 100 years was an underestimation of how recalcitrant this sort of approach is. And so I think that what's needed is maybe a third kind of multiculturalism. And I have my own ideas of what that is coming together, and not the space to unpack it here. So everyone should subscribe to the Substack, the Theory Underground Substack, subscribe to this channel, and pay attention, because we'll have Christine back. We'll have other people on with similar and different positions on such things. And I personally have avoided immigration and anti-immigration ever since I saw Angela Nagel and Slavoj Žižek get so persecuted for basically saying that neither of the two main approaches is correct, that it's a double bind, that it's not a solution. Nagel saying, actually there is a case for borders existing, at least in the short term. And she got like crucified over it. And I remember just being like, oh, so I can't really have a real conversation about this, because I'm not going to really be able to see other people have a conversation about it. I can't assume any position in the field and then have a conversation about it, because there's only one allowed position. And I think real thinking involves taking up different positions and thinking it through, walking a mile in those shoes and then walking a mile in these shoes. And I just want to encourage everybody who might agree or disagree, who is present, to just remember, it's shoes. It's ideas are shoes, concepts are shoes. How well do they fit? Do they hurt your feet? Do they get you where you're trying to go? You know, do you want to change them at some point? Are they the best? Are they the worst? I don't know. Be thinking about it. And with that, I'm going to give you the floor here to say any closing thoughts that you might have, Christine.
I disagree with Angela Nagel and any so-called lefty who argue that we need to have national border. I think there is no possibility for you to be left in the sense of universalist left, and think that we need to keep the national border, because at the end of the day, what you're saying is that you need to keep the status quo. Since the modern world, we live in a national state, basically, and our reality in life is all around the nation. But that's the problem. That is the reason why people can say, I want to keep my Britishness or my Frenchness or my Americanness, because they are seeing the world as only through the nation, and somehow, even if they cannot define what is Americanness or Britishness or Frenchness, they still think that this is the only thing that they want to keep. And I'm sorry to say, if you are arguing that national borders are important, then you are not somebody who is challenged what is happening today, or you don't have any notion or universalism, because universalism is also saying that somebody who is Indian workers, or somebody who is American worker, or somebody who is from South America as a worker has more interest with me than somebody who is French like me. I mean, Macron is French. I'm French. Am I supposed to be thinking that we all have? And that's what I do all the time. We are all in this together. We want to have France working together. And at the end of the day, who is taking my job away? This is not the Indian workers. It is the French government and the French state at the end of the day. So yes, I have no sympathy, I'm sorry to say, for the people who argue for national borders. What we can discuss is, why is it that we can only see the world through our national borders, and we can only see the understanding of problems through the nation state, since the beginning of the nation state. And that's only started in 18th, 19th century, the nation state. I mean, when the nation started to grow. So why is it that we can only see the world through that?
Thank you so much for visiting with us and for sharing your thoughts. Have a good one. Take care. Everyone, we'll be right back.
Bye.
We'll be right back with Helen. Okay, take care.
We cannot do direct revolution, but the only way to lay the foundation for it is to do what you are doing to move the underground. It's a theoretically correct title.
Welcome to Theory Underground, a place for workers with earbuds who are tired of letting others read and think on their behalf, slipstreaming our way into an understanding of the situation that short-circuits the deadlocks of our moment.
Research at Theory Underground focuses on what is most important for understanding our current situation: theory of the subject, capital, time-energy theory, critical media theory, CMT, and the most essential critiques necessary for understanding why the theory, ideology, and common sense of influencers left to right misses the mark.
Theory Underground is coming to a city near you. What that has meant in the last year is traveling across the United States, into Canada, and then all over Europe to promote our books, courses, and ideas related to time energy and underground theory. You've been reading Underground Theory.
I'm a publisher and an editor. I run and review books. Literally, it's my living. This is the best edited collection I've ever read.
Okay, picture this scene. America, early 2021. An Amazon warehouse worker arises from the emerging underground theory internet scene to create spaces for untimely topics and concerns that are too often neglected or kept in isolation today. Joined by a revolving cast of underground theorists, academics, and critics, he establishes what will become Theory Underground, a teaching, research, and publishing platform by and for working-class intellectuals, autodidacts, and academics who want to do more than they're able to do within the confines of academia. That warehouse worker's name is David McKerracher, and his book Time Energy is his first major contribution to the world of theory. It was recently reprinted with a foreword by none other than Slavoj Žižek, who also contributed to Theory Underground's latest book.
My Bible, it's an excellent book.
A collection of essays called Underground Theory.
What you just heard is an excerpt from the Strange Exiles podcast, episode 23, where Bram from Strange Exiles interviewed me and Mikey. For those who don't know, Mikey is the author of the Dangerous Maybe blog. We are publishing one of his books here shortly at Theory Underground. He's also a lecturer at Theory Underground, and he's someone I've been friends and a collaborator with for over 10 years. But most importantly for you all, he's a fantastic lecturer, and it's a crime that he has to do wage labor right now. One of the long-term goals of Theory Underground has been now for a couple of years to hashtag free Mikey. That is something that I've been really pushing, but first I had to get freed from wage labor, which was achieved this year. That's right. Thanks to my monthly seminar subscribers, I was able to quit Amazon and do Theory Underground full time. Now I'm announcing the next big phase of the plan, which is the Mikey Down seminar. What monthly subscribers to the Mikey seminar are paying for is a survey of philosophy, including deep dives into Žižek, Land, Lacan, Baudrillard, Bataille, Lyotard, and ultimately the whole history of philosophy.
We're trying to build like this ongoing seminar, right? And that's what I really like about this thing. Where, you know, if I'm teaching a main text, that's something I got to focus on. I got to really, but the seminar thing, we can do this stuff all the time where we dive deeper into concepts, we dive deeper into certain, you know, sections of books or whatever, and we can really do this nuanced stuff.
I think that there's probably no better way for us to accelerate our learning in these areas than by slipstreaming Mikey. And that has been my belief for years and years and years now. It's official. You're able to help out. You're able to get involved. You're able to benefit directly from liberating him from wage labor. Get on it right now. Do it. Just go. Stop what you're doing. Go click the button, subscribe. This is what you do. Subscribe to him. If you're already signed up for the ongoing Theory Underground seminars, then that's the ones that I do with my wife, Anne. Though that's getting an upgrade, which means that I will be doing one session per month that is just me, and then I will also be doing the ones with Anne, which are a crash course in sociology, anthropology, the social sciences, and ultimately Marx, Heidegger, Levinas, Bourdieu, imminently critiquing pop psychology, sociology, self-help, and ultimately the doxa of our time. But if you would like to be a subscriber to both Mikey's seminar and the seminar that the Snellgrove McKerrachers are doing, then the best way is to become a Tier 4 subscriber, or you can be a Tier 2 subscriber to each of us. The reason this matters is because Tier 2 is like pretty much the best bang for your buck. It gives you huge discounts on all of the courses that we do. But if you can't afford it, Tier 4 is amazing because it gives you Tier 3 access at both Mikey's seminar and ours.
Finally, not everybody has time to be part of these ongoing research seminars, and they just want to fund the paid content for the YouTube and podcast. And so thank you so much to our patrons over at Patreon. They're the ones funding all the free stuff, so big thank you to Bert, Marilyn, Carl, Sahil, Zozandra, Nikolai, Darian, Tyler, and Mandeep, and all the other wonderful patron people. Patreon people. And thank you to all the other wonderful Patreon people. Thank you so much to all of you patrons, and also to the special subscribers and the paying subscribers. Oh my god! It's just so awkward. Thank you, Patreon. Patrons. Thank you, patrons. Oh, okay. And to all the other wonderful patrons. Thank you so much, all you patrons. And also a special thanks to the subscribers on the YouTube side, as well as the paying subscribers over at Substack. Why can't we do this? Fucked. You guys, please. Just thank you. Thank you, everyone, for making this bullshit possible. Thank you to the subscribers. You do it. You did so good. Thanks, guys.